You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
Wait.
Hello and welcome back to Season 2, Week 1 of the 2018 ETS Open, hosted by aReNGee Eternal. I am TheSkeeJay, back for round number 4, and X-Kirby is gone, and in his place comes Gabe, a.k.a. Calimdir. How you doing today, Gabe?
All right. How's it going?
We're doing pretty well. We're having a lot of fun with a couple Haunting Scream decks, a couple Armory decks, some Xenon. We've had a lot of fun tonight so far. We're ready for round number 4, as it's actually going to be heywhyyou taking on TheClamburglar. heywhyyou on a pretty stock version of Ikaria Blue. The 4 Rise of the Challenge, 4 Ikaria, a Sword of the Sky King, a Starsteel Dice Show. You know the drill. You've played against it. It's got 3 copies of Hailstorm in the main deck as well. The interesting deck is actually on the other side of the table from the TheClamburglar. He's on a Fire Primal Shadow, otherwise known as Felnscar Mauler's deck. Have you seen this deck yet, Gabe?
I haven't seen this deck. I'm familiar with the old school Stonescar Mauler's mid-range deck that Loco Pojo sort of created, but this is really different because it's trying to play some of these mid-range creatures, but mostly it's a spell damage deck, which is really exciting.
Yeah, we're looking at 4 Cloud Snake Harriers and 4 Iceberg War Chiefs. We are trying to make our torches deal a whole lot of damage, as well as our 2 copies of Rock Slide in this deck.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it also has some Extracts and Hailstorm as extra ways to really abuse that spell damage.
Yeah, it also has 2 Mirror Image, so you can have extra copies of both of those spell damage units. Makes me wonder what the synergy is with Stonescar Maul instead of something like Obliterate.
Yeah, it seems like Obliterate may be a little bit better in that slot. Those mirror images can also copy any one of 4 Champion of Cunnings, which if you can get them activated in any deck is going to be very tough for most decks to deal with. But
well, it looks like players should be ready to get underway in just a second. Who do you think is favored in this matchup?
it's hard to say. I think a lot of what Ikaria Blue is trying to do is probably going to get blanked by this spell damage based deck. It's got Aegis units. It's got units that don't really care about. It doesn't really have that much removal that's going to be dead either. And it has Caleb's Choice to deal with Rune Hammers and stuff. I guess I think I have to favor the Maulers deck in this. Do you agree?
I think that the Ikaria Blue deck is favored here. I have a feeling we're just going to see the Mauler deck not really put together everything they want, and then Ikaria is just going to come down on 7 and clean up the board because there aren't enough good answers to Ikaria in this Mauler's deck.
Well, speaking of Ikaria, there's 2 of them in heywhyyou's hand already. I can't quite get to them yet, as it's only turn 2. He draws a dice show for this turn. He's going to have Wisdom of the Elders ready at the end of TheClamburglar's 4th turn, which is just going to be a depleted power. Wisdom of the Elders is the play, and Island's Choice, Harsh Rule are the 2 draws. Justice Sigil, and we're just going to get aggressive here. We're going to get feisty. Get in for 4 damage, down to 21 falls to TheClamburglar.
Yeah, I'm really liking this hand from heywhyyou. The combination of Harsh Rule, Hailstorm, Island Choice can just really handle anything, and he's got just about all the power he needs.
Yeah, with that Seek power, Cobalt Waystone, he's up to 6 power. He only needs 1 more power, and it can be any power he wants. He's got the influence as well that he needs, as he knocks TheClamburglar down to 17. TheClamburglar's hand not stellar. He has an uncastable extra, 2 uncastable extracts, 2 uncastable Black Sky Harbingers, a mirror image that has no targets, a Hailstorm that does 0 in this matchup, a couple Stonescar Mauls. He just drew all of his 6 drops and only 4 power. He finally drew his 5th this turn. It was a crest.
Yeah, it does have 6 drops and 8 5 drops in his deck. Playing 26 power and 2 favors, which is a bit low, but it's still not entirely unreasonable. It's certainly not practice mid range that's just completely full of 6 drops.
And it's actually going to be the end of the game. TheClamburglar really never got off the ground. We're going to see a Hailstorm break the Aegis, and we're going to see a Vanquish answer this Champion of Cunning. And then 2 attacks from the dice show is actually going to kill TheClamburglar. So game number 1, kind of an unfortunate turn of events for TheClamburglar, as he just drew all of his 6s and no power.
Yeah, sometimes games just go like that. Not really how I predicted Ikaria Blue is gonna win, but I'll still take that one.
No, but what kind of defined that game was heywhyyou just like on turn 4 or 5 decided I'm gonna get aggressive. My opponent's not doing anything. I'm gonna hit him in the face with Runehammer, get him low enough, and then just like kill him that way.
Yeah.
He had no reason to really try to play a reactive game if the opponent's not really being proactive.
Yeah, and the other thing about that is Runehammer isn't super valuable in this matchup. It doesn't really kill much of anything other than the Harrier. So I really like that play because it's just not a super valuable card. I guess it does kill Warchief because I forget that Warchief has such unreasonable stats. But
With a 5/3. So players are taking a look at the sideboards. We should do the same. 2 copies of Boar from heywhyyou and his Ikaria blue deck. 3 Permafrost, couple Bring Downs, couple Caleb's Choices, 2 copies of Unseal, 2 Copperhall Bailiffs, and 2 Rain of Frogs. What are we looking at here?
I don't think that heywhyyou needs to sideboard very much. I wouldn't mind maybe Bring Downs or potentially some Choice or Unseal, depending on what card they're really looking to deal with. But these are mostly just to protect or to replace cards that aren't really doing much in the matchup. Not really, cards that are going to be all-stars in the matchup because like Rain of Frogs is the only card that could potentially be a blowout, and even then it's not by much unless it hits, Champion of Cunning. So I really don't think there needs to be much sideboarding going on there. Maybe cut down on some of the Rune Hammers or something like that.
Yeah,
But on the other side, there's probably a lot more to do here if you want to take a look at that.
Yeah, so what the Felnscar Maulers deck has 2 copies of Dark Return, 3 Treacheries, 2 Recurring Nightmare. It's actually the second time we've seen Recurring Nightmare this weekend. 4 In Cold Bloods, 3 Rain of Frogs, and 1 copy of Encroaching Darkness, probably for the real late grindy controlled matchups, which could be this one.
Yeah, wow. I really like Treachery here. I think Treachery is absolutely nuts here. You get to save it until turn 6 or so. You don't have to play it right away, so you're pretty likely to hit Nikaria. Almost all of heywhyyou's threats have Aegis, so Treachery just gets to 1-for-1 with cards like Ikaria and Throne Warden, which is just super powerful. Also, the extra 2 damage with your spell damage deck is pretty nice as well.
Yeah, I didn't even consider that. You can make that deal 3 or 4 damage pretty easily in this deck, and in the process, answer an Ikaria that's like hanging out in hand.
What else? What else are you thinking? Because there's Rain of Frogs, but it might be a little too slow at times.
I like Recurring Nightmare a lot in these matchups. The only real answer that heywhyyou has is Torch for that card. It can't get Runehammered. It can't really get like vanquished that easily. So maybe that's a card that's like, maybe that's a reason to bring in Bring Down. It's probably not, but that is a card that I think I would really be excited to bring in if I was the TheClamburglar.
I think with Champion of Cunning, Blacksky Harbinger, and Cloudsnake Carrier, there's already enough reason to bring in Bring Down. And I think you just have Valkyrie Enforcer and Ikaria anyway to just block Recurring Nightmare. So I'm not super excited about Recurring Nightmare in this matchup. But, I could be wrong. I've been wrong many times before.
Recurring Nightmare, I found to be very strong against Armory style decks. But yeah, it might just be a bit too... not doing enough in a matchup like this, but the players are underway. It's actually turn 2 already. TheClamburglar is casting Strategize.
Meanwhile, heywhyyou's hand a little more power light than last game, but gonna make it work with these Seek Powers and the extra Waystone over there. Plus Strategize to help stuff out. This Torch could be pretty key if there is something like a Recurring Nightmare that comes down.
Strategize from the TheClamburglar. 2 cards in, 1 card's going to go out down to the bottom. Crest of Chaos from TheClamburglar takes a look at a card. It's in Cold Blood. It's going to go to the bottom. It's one of the cards I believe he brought in. I don't think he has any in his main deck, 4 in his sideboard.
Oh yeah, In Cold Blood is also good here. So he brought in Recurring Nightmare, In Cold Blood, and Rain of Frogs at the very least, and hopefully Treachery. I'm looking.
Yeah, I guess he evaluated this matchup and decided that he needs a lot of help to make it winnable. So as a result, you see a lot of sideboard cards and very few cards that he had in his main deck to start.
So taking out the torches here, okay, and that's what he goes for. And wow, the
oh no,
Frogs. TheClamburglar doesn't know about it either. So that, oh my god, both of them. Yeah, so this Recurring Nightmare was going to be clear here, but not anymore.
Yeah, as Yeah, Calimdir thinks it's safe to just like go for the easy mode win. Bring down is the play. Uh, if Calimdir brought in Dark Return, there's some pause to like torching your own unit there, but he decides not to.
And Calimdir brought in the Treachery as well, which right now wouldn't be good to cast. So hopefully they hold on to that.
Treachery would kill the Runehammer, but Extract does that job just fine as he scouts again. Takes I didn't see what he did with it, but heywhyyou casting a Strategize, draws 2. 1 card is going to go to the bottom of his deck.
Yeah, those are 2 very powerful cards in this position. Wisdom of the Elders and Rise to the Challenge are super great in these control mirrors. Rise to the Challenge just gets him that Ikaria immediately. Wisdom of the Elders just 2 cards. The problem is that he's got so much good removal in his hand. I probably would have been inclined to get rid of that Runehammer just because you really want to find that Ikaria, but draws into another Rise to the Challenge anyway.
Easy.
And it works.
As the third fire source is the play. Fire Sigil. Treachery comes out from Calimdir. That's 2 damage. That's nothing else, as of course heywhyyou draws Thorn Warden exactly after the Treachery. Calimdir's got to be thinking there was a bug with Treachery at this point.
Yeah, and you gotta play the Treachery there because your opponent's on 6 power. They just Wisdom, they strategize several times. There's got to be an Ikaria there.
Yeah, no, that was the turn to play it. But we're gonna see we're gonna see Rise of the Challenge probably come out this turn. That's gonna find the Ikaria. It's gonna attack for 7 next turn, assuming that's what he wants to do. We can also just like play it kind of slow, play a Runehammer this turn, knock him down to 16, and try to win the game that way. It looks like he just does nothing.
Yeah, that's a really interesting play. I guess I don't know. You can do something else and hold up, bring down. I think maybe the only thing I could think of is heywhyyou believes the TheClamburglar has another Treachery and wants Treachery to come down, but it doesn't make sense because then you would have just played Ikaria. So I have no idea what that was.
Yep. And unactivated Champion of Cunning was the play for TheClamburglar. That gets vanquished. We're going to see Rise of the Challenge come out this turn. He's going to search. Decides if he wants, I guess, Starsteel, Daisho, or Ikaria. Either one is probably fine. We saw TheClamburglar scout last turn. He saw a Stone Scar Maul, and he liked it. He kept it on top. Drew it for the turn. Trades with Thorn Warden. That's not really going to do too much in the face of this Ikaria, though. TheClamburglar does have the answer, though. He's got Torch plus in Cold Blood, so no more Ikarias, at least.
Yeah, and in Cold Blood is a big deal here. heywhyyou is going to have a tough time winning this game. It's going to be up to these 2 Runehammers.
Yes, TheClamburglar does have a Champion of Cunning in his hand to at least like try to get in the way of these Runehammers. Unfortunately, there's a Vanquish from heywhyyou side. So honestly, all heywhyyou has to do here is play the Runehammer, attack for 4, and then Vanquish the next play, and then Runehammer again.
Yeah, I think because TheClamburglar doesn't have anything else to do with their power, it's just going to only be able to play this one Champion of Cunning. And even if they got the 5th Primal here, which it wouldn't matter just because it's the Permafrost as well and the Bring Down as well.
Yeah, you got so many answers to a unit here. I think heywhyyou is gonna take this one. Vara's Favor is one of the draws from TheClamburglar this turn. That's not gonna do anything. That breaks an Aegis, which is kind of cute, but doesn't even put him up to 5.
Well, yeah, that's gonna be heywhyyou taking this match 2-0 over the TheClamburglar in a very convincing fashion.
Fire Blue takes out the Felnscar Mauler's deck. We didn't really get to see the Felnscar Mauler's deck really do its thing. It didn't draw any of its spell damage cards. It didn't draw any of like its units. It didn't have its, and let's be honest, Champion of Cunning is kind of ambitious when you're looking at a 3-faction deck like this, but that was never really activated.
Yeah, ambitious is definitely a good word for that.
But it would have been fun to see like some mirror images and some shenanigans happening at least one of those games.
Yeah, but Ikaria Blue is very close to removal pile. It just does not like to let things sit on the board, so it's just not the deck for that to happen. I think against some of the more time-based decks, there might be some more time for stuff to sit around on the board, but not this matchup.
No, so that was a matchup of 2 and 1 players. So the Mauler's player is going to fall down to 2 and 2. heywhyyou improves to 3 and 1. as we're in the search of a backup match for right now. I don't quite want to go to a break yet. We want to give you guys as much eternal action as possible.
Yeah, definitely. What are some of the other interesting deck lists that you have seen so far? Because I obviously haven't been looking as much as you guys, and there's been a lot of cool decks that haven't made their way on stream yet.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look through the entire deck list document. There is a 5-color Strangers deck that has like, I don't know, 46 one-ofs and 1 4-of. It was pretty
Okay.
incredible.
With Reunite.
1 Reunite, not even 4.
What?
Its 4-of was Horus Traver, and it played 1 Reunite and 1 of all the other Strangers.
Okay.
It was pretty cool. But the match that we saw in game number 1, or in round number 1, we saw a recurring or a Haunting Scream deck that was playing like Bandit Queens and Vicious Highwaymen as things that you want to scream back and Dark Return back to really, play like a burn deck, but with some recursion and reach.
Yeah, really interesting. It reminds me, I mean, not that people necessarily know what that is, but something like a deck focused around Ball Lightning or something like that.
Yeah.
Aggressive in that fashion.
Yep, it was up against Removal Pile, and Haunting Scream is just always going to be a good matchup against Removal Pile when you're playing like Bandit Queens and stuff. It just gets even better.
Yeah, Removal Pile generally doesn't have fast speed removal. Looks like we're going to get into a matchup right now, a 3-0 matchup. Not sure what the score is. We're going to watch Pupicitus versus chPIG?
chPIG?
Yeah, chPIG.
Champion Pig?
Yeah.
So Pupicitus looks like he's on Argentport mid-range with Argentport Instigator in his deck up against a Huru Flyers, Huru aggressive deck. We're seeing a Tinker Overseer on board already. Taking a look at his hand, he's got a Millie, he's got the 2/2 that creates Nightfall and grants Aegis in his hand. So yeah, it looks like it's just a Huru mid-range deck.
Yeah, and I don't mind Argentport in this spot. I like Huru Flyers here as well, but the problem is that it doesn't have the lifesteal, whereas both these decks are doing kind of the same thing. There's a lot of evasion. Neither deck is particularly great at blocking. Both decks just kind of want to race. However, chPIG's deck, usually has the advantage against something a little bit slower, something that's trying to block and can't because of all the flyers. But Pupicitus' deck just has, things like what is the card? Bloodletter. Just to keep gaining life.
Yeah, well, Bloodletter gives a one-time lifesteal effect. But Pupicitus, he had the curve too. Like he had Instigator, Traitor, Tavrod. Like everything was kind of lined up pretty well for him. Although he is getting beaten down pretty hard in the air. One option he has next turn is going to involve Valkyrie Enforcer on the 3/4, just to try to get rid of some of the damage. But there's another 3/4 Huru Pacifier.
Wow. Okay, that's huge because the Bloodletter was drawn. Now Argentport basically loses all of its advantage. Plus, I think chPIG was on. No, chPIG I think was on the draw, but they got the tempo advantage. They played more efficient units as far as like power cost, and has been able to play more units out over the turn, and just play the efficient removal. So even though Pupicitus had a great curve, getting out tempoed in a racing scenario is really, really difficult to come back from.
Yeah, being able to play removal spell plus efficient threat on turn 5 is a pretty big deal. The 3/3 is able to check the 2/2 flyer. So we're just going to see the attack from both Huru Pacifiers, one silenced, one otherwise. And Pupicitus has to decide how he wants to handle this. He chooses a double block on the ground, which, he's going to lose his flyer here, which frees up the Tinker Overseer.
I think you have to block that. You can't afford to go that low.
Yeah, you can't take the damage. It's just it's an impossible spot to be in.
And now Pupicitus is just in jump blocking mode.
Yeah, he's gonna have to play Unseen Commando this turn just to like block the Amelie, take 5, gain 2, so basically take 3 damage down to 4. And then he doesn't really. Oh, well, crystallize off the top is going to do it. That's a lethal attack. We'll see if that was game number 3 or not. But as of right now, chPIG takes down the Argenport deck with just really efficient flying threats, which we saw Argenport do that earlier against a Dark Heart deck from Child Roland. Argenport just played like a couple of flyers and won the game that way. Well, now it's the other way around. Without Impending Doom, you don't actually have the good blockers against these Hoover pacifiers and Amilies.
I don't mind Crystallize here. I was thinking about how much I don't like Crystallize in a flyer deck, but I see that it came out from the sideboard, and when I think about it more in this matchup, there's just so little blocking going on, and if you can Crystallize just to keep attacking, that'll just put you so far ahead in this damage range. Like I said, that's these two decks are just going to be going face constantly, as we saw there, and I definitely don't mind Crystallize as much as I thought I would.
No, especially like you can kind of get your opponent where like they think they can race, so they don't block. They get their life total a little bit low, and they just crystallize the turn where they were gonna block, and then they're dead. That's not quite what happened there, but crystallize was still the way to force through lethal. I got word that was actually game number 2, and the series is tied 1 game apiece. So we do get a full game of Argenport midrange versus Huru Flyers.
Yeah, which is exciting because this is a not common matchup. Huru has seen some popularity, but never really quite the same level as Argenport. So I'm always excited to see all the different Huru builds, be it aggro, control, or these mid-range builds, which are more common.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to go about Hoover. You can play control, you can play really late game control, you can also play like really early game aggro, and pretty much anywhere in between.
Yeah, you have the access to Eager Owlets and the Cloud Snake hatchlings, excuse me, the Wild Cloud Snakes, which is that's a real deck, all right?
That is a real deck. I know, you played it.
I know, and I won't stop.
Players are in game now. Pupicitus takes a look at a 2-power hand. He doesn't like it. He draws into a 3-power hand. He probably does like it. Doesn't really have any units to play that costs less than 5, but he does have early removal, which is still pretty good.
So looking at Pupicitus' deck as the game is going on here, this was the Inquisitor's Blade build, but only 2, so a little bit different than the build that won the Invitational, but very similar. In the sideboard, though, we have Suffocates, Annihilates, Rune Hammers, Moktos, and Dark Returns. Mokto even is good here just because it flies. And then Suffocate, Annihilate, and Runehammer are also all great versus pretty much everything except for Shelterwing and Amili. Everything else in chPIG's deck dies to Runehammer, and then all of them except for Shelterwing and Amili die to Suffocate. And then those two obviously die to Annihilate, which kills just about everything.
Yeah, so Pupicitus was just missing a lot of his removal last game, so that's why he got so swarmed. He has it this game, but he also has another really good curve. He had the Instigator into a Bloodletter that kind of vanquished, but he has other answers, right? He's got this Valkyrie Enforcer that he can play. He can Dark Return back the Instigator if he really wants to.
Yeah, I also just like playing the Valkyrie Enforcer and saving Dark Return for something like that, an extra Valkyrie Enforcer Silence, or getting back a Tavrod later just because of how valuable that card is. Because chPIG's deck is definitely, you can run it out of removal if you keep throwing threats into it, whereas Pupicitus, not as much.
Yeah, chPIG he can only play a handful of removal, like it's Vanquish and Permafrost. And like he does have Island's Choice and Lightning Strike that he can play as well. We saw Bring Down earlier today. It was pretty good.
Yeah, we saw it against that.
That was this round, right?
Yes, that was last round. Or
against the Recurring Nightmare.
So
he does go with the Dark Return play. He gets back the Instigator. He's got a 4/4 on the ground. chPIG, he's got a pretty full hand. Island's Choice and Lightning Strike if he wants to get rid of the Instigator. He's got a couple of flyers in a Millie, Unseen Commando, and he's got all the power he needs, right? The Seek power gets him up to a guaranteed 6 if he wants to hold on to the Monument, which I imagine he does.
No, I guess a 4/4 is bigger than a 3/3, but I still think a flying 3/3 is more valuable in this matchup. And it's not like you need to save Valkyrie Enforcer because essentially you spent another Valkyrie Enforcer by using that Dark Return. So we'll see how it plays out, but it's definitely an interesting line of play. And that Suffocate gets to clean up that Unseen Commando, and Argenport gets to do Argenport things.
Yeah, we'll see if he wants to break in Aegis with his Valkyrie Enforcer now. I mean, honestly, being just a 3/3 flyer is a pretty major tempo advantage. Even if all it's doing is breaking Aegis, like I think it's still fine in this position.
And that's what we're
He,
going to see here.
he's got so much removal in his hand, like Annihilate and Slay. He doesn't really have to worry about what the follow-up's going to be, which is probably going to be a Millie from chPIG. And again, Annihilate, Slay both answer that pretty nicely.
This time we didn't see the combo pacifier come down, the double pacifier, and have the Vanquish for the clean turn 5 play. And this time we're going to see Pupicitus get the better end of the removal game. Annihilate trading up with this Gem Blade, and then Slay most likely going to trade up with this Millie. chPIG might be trying to wait till 8 power to hold up this Island's Choice, but I mean, can't counter Slay or Annihilate, so
I don't think you can wait. You can't wait that long to start playing out your threats.
Yeah, also I'm crazy because he's definitely just going to use Island's Choice to kill this Valkyrie Enforcer.
Pretty good idea. I don't know if that was his plan originally, but with a Bloodletter on it now, seems pretty appealing. Also, the Tinker Overseer was a very good draw from him, as he's able to develop his board and still kill something as well. There is a Tavrod that is going to come down from Pupicitus, though, and we're out of removal for that. We do have a silence effect in the form of Valkyrie Enforcer from chPIG, but that's still a 5/7. Still can't attack your Ancient through it.
I think silence is going to be good enough, though. I think chPIG is going to be able to hold back a vanilla 5/7 on the ground, and then eventually develop a board that can just attack, get through for 2 damage in the air or something like that, which already has.
I'm not sure how he's holding back his 5/7 though. With Annihilate and Slay in hand, like Tavrod doesn't really care.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Can even use the Annihilate mid combat here to just completely
to blow out the double block.
Board.
Yeah, that's what he's going to do. He's going to attack, try to force out a double block, be like Annihilate, joke's on you. And now it's Tavrod versus Tinker Overseer, and one of those cards is better than the other one.
It's Tinker Overseer, right? And it's got more text on it. Like Tavrod has no text.
At this point, yeah, it does have words on it.
So a Millie can block at least, but Slay is just going to clean that up really nice and clean.
Yep, Slay on the Millie. 5 damage comes in. chPIG is going to fall down to 6. Last card in hand is Island's Choice, though. That must have been the draw for turn, which means this Tavrod is actually not going to be able to push lethal with backed up by the Vara's. Never mind.
Oh,
yes, it is.
Oh
no!
More sabotaging.
Oh no! Pupicitus has to be upset to see that.
That's gonna be in his nightmares tonight.
He's gonna have some bad dreams about Island's Choice now. Call for some nerfs.
Oh man, and it looks like chPIG's gonna win this game now because that 2-turn clock here.
Yeah, as Pupicitus falls down to 6. Suffocate is the draw. Oh, now we want to sabotage.
Suffocate gives Pupicitus a lot more time here, getting rid of this Sewer Pacifier.
It turns its 2-turn clock into a 3-turn one. Yep. And even Vara's Favor can turn it into a 4-turn clock just by gaining a health.
Yep. And there is Unseen Commando. So now the game is back in Pupicitus' favor.
He can't really attack with his Unseen Well, now he can.
You say that. You say that. But they always go in pairs.
What a game. One good draw deserves another. We're going to see a block here. 2 Vanquishes in chPIG's hand. He can't do anything with them. If only they were Island's Choices.
Yep. Unseen Commando is tricky like that. And the Hail Mary attack, trying to confuse his opponent.
Looks like he's trying to represent. I think he's trying to represent an Island's Choice, and that's not going to work. As Pupicitus says, "I got you. You're taking 8. You're dead. It's over."
No. These 2 Vanquishes, these are 2 Island's Choice. All right.
They could have been. Who knows? But we do see Argenport midrange take out the Huru Flyers deck 2-1, as Pupicitus defeats. Oh no, I'm sorry, I missed the player's name. It went away. chPIG.
Yep. So wow, that was exciting.
That was a very, very good game. It's not like one player was like just drawing dead the entire game. Like we saw both players draw very, very well. We got a really good game and some actual decisions being made.
I'll tell you, Pupicitus definitely drew pretty live there at the end with the double Unseen Commando.
Oh yeah.
from just straight dead on board.
That is going to do it for round number 4. I don't believe we have any more matches to go to, so we are going to take a quick break before jumping into round number 5 as we start closing down the Swiss rounds. Players fighting for top 8, fighting to just stay alive at this point.
We'll see you then.